Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Looks like we don't have any pre-submitted questions today. Hey, Alex, what you got for us, man?
I have another hopefully simple question. I'm trying to update an account object, and I don't seem to find the right step. I've got this thing called update entity, but it only seems to allow you to put a static value in for the account ID.
You could use save entities. We're wonderfully clear here, right? If you find the save entities step.
Yeah, so the save entity step, it seemed to, so I tried to use that, but using a build data on it.
Then don't do that. You're gonna want to do like the change value mapping. So like, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm.
You familiar with this one?
I'm listening and learning.
Okay. So what you want to do is you want to change, say, just the email address of an account, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to fetch a single account, and then I'm going to create a variable of type string here called new email address.
Yep.
And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in my new email address, which will be, bob@decisions.com.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go change value instead of rename on my output. Change value. What this will do is give me a picker, and I can find my account object here. I'll do first name instead of email address. So I'm going to do first name. I'm going to set its, the value here. What this allows me to do is pass in, once I go to this save entity step, I click account, I can then pass the whole object in with that change and have it be persisted. That way I don't have to build data on each individual property of an object. I can just do the single change on the single property here.
Okay, so and if I wanted to change 5 properties in my create data, I'd basically create 5 different variables?
Yeah, exactly. So, and if we did like last name here, it's a really powerful mapping pattern that's much easier to use than using build data everywhere if you haven't been. So here again, if we want to change last name, change it, change it from rename to be a value change, come into entity result, find last name, pick it, and then boom, now I've made a change that'll flow through.
Okay,
perfect. So, and then you can even make those inputs be, on the subflow and pass in, right? You could pass in the account ID or the email address, and then have properties to update, and you can make your own custom CRUD subflow.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, everything. Yeah, again, I just got to the point where, like, I was looking at the save entity, and I thought, well, what's the difference between save and update? And so, but as I say, the update doesn't seem to have the ability to allow you to pass in like a select from flow as the account ID.
Right. Yeah, that update step is weird and very old, and honestly, probably something that we should just pull from the product. We've had some questions about it recently, since it's specifically a static ID, which really makes no sense for us.
Right. Okay, so on the subject of static IDs, this is kind of like a different question, but I noticed that when you're adding a security group to an account, it doesn't go by the group GUID, it goes by the group name. Is that normal? Is there something that goes by a group GUID?
Is there something that goes by a group? Groups are entities, they do have IDs.
Yeah, but when you actually add a group to an account, it asks for the group name. Like, is the group name not something that you can change?
You can. It is still creating an ID relationship between the selected group, even if you're using its name. Like if you were to look, if we added a custom group here, it would have a GUID or a ULID, I should say, in current versions.
Right, but are you can you actually go in and change the group name after it's been created? and yet the underlying UUID would remain the same?
You should be able to. And if not, you definitely can through the steps. The UI might not let you. Like if we create a custom group here, just call it ASDF and then click save. If I edit ASDF, yeah, I can change it here. Now, there are group types here, like remote groups, those should prevent you from editing the group name. If it gets that group, interesting. It should, because some of the group names can come from like AD or your single sign-on provider.
Right.
And so certain types of groups may hide that. But a normal local decisions group, you can change its name as much as you want and it won't break. Unless you're using the group name specifically for like an assignment somewhere, it won't break anything.
No. So, but I get it. But I mean, if I'm adding a group to a user in a flow, and I have to use the group name, and then someone changes the group name, does that not break the flow?
So what step specifically are you using?
It's called add group to account, I think.
And it wants the group name?
And it wants a group name, not the UUID.
Interesting. That would, in the group name change, that sounds like it would break, yeah. Is that account service?
How did I find this thing? I just
Add account, here's add account to groups, takes in group IDs.
Yeah, add group to user by account ID.
Okay, that's probably a group service.
So step information, system/accounts. Toolbox name, add group to user by account ID.
Hold on here, system, accounts.
Yeah.
Add group to user
by account ID.
By account ID. Yeah, I wouldn't use this step for that very reason. Here's one, add account to groups. You could pass in the account ID and the group ID. That's under internal services.
Okay, perfect. So that's.
And that way you'd use the actual group IDs. Yeah, this is kind of silly.
Okay. Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet, man. Oh. All right. Not very many people in the lobby today, so if you guys have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, I'll keep talking.
Yeah, please, man. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I've kind of come up against is in the account object, I set the default folder, to basically a user landing page where they can start all their, different requests.
Okay.
But some people are also their like a manager of a process kind of thing. So they have like they can also go to a separate dashboard page.
Sure.
And so one of the things that I'm finding is so in an email notification that I send out to let them know that they have some work to do on their dashboard, I provide a link to the dashboard.
Okay.
And so when they click on that link, only if they're already signed in will it take them there. Whereas if they actually have to sign in, then it takes them
that's a bug. 100%. Yeah. You guys are on like 8.6 or 8.7 or something, right?
8.6, yeah.
Okay. That's a bug for sure. Let me ping Pfizer really quick.
Oh, so is that like possibly something that we can, version up to outbug?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that Alex, that's just a bug. Nothing you should have to do there.
Okay,
The deep link should persist after the authentication has occurred, and
right.
it should deploy you. It should take you. You should end up resolving back to the initial URL you requested.
Gotcha. So, but that's going to be fixed in a future version. Is that,
I think it's
is
fixed
or not?
already, just in a newer version than you guys are on right now.
Right. Okay, cool. So, I mean, if anyone is out there with other questions, by all means, but if not, I can.
There's nobody else right now, just one or
Okay.
two other people. So please go ahead, man. Happy to help you.
Okay, so this is just philosophically.
Okay.
I have a flow that basically is its purpose is for people to approve POs, requisitions, kind of thing. But at some point in the not too distant future, people would kind of like a button where it would enable them to create that PO in an ERP system.
Okay.
So what's kind of available for me to do this?
Is the question about the integration itself?
Well, so yeah, so like I can build a C# object which
Yep.
can talk to the ERP system. But so how does decisions talk to my C# object?
Okay. So you have, well, you could, I mean, if you look at some of the SDK docs that we have, you can create like custom steps very easily. Like assume you've got this C# object, or assume this call to this ERP system is in a method, right? You can get that, you can turn that method into a step pretty trivially just by adding some attributes.
Oh, really?
Let's go, yeah, so let's go look at the SDK simple section here. So adding to the product, flow and rule steps, flow step basic. So here's a method that checks a valid zip code through some character checks, right?
Right.
And it takes in a string called zip code, and it outturns either true or false. So it outputs a Boolean.
Right.
And in our world, all you have to do in that class is add auto register methods on class and provide the step location. So this will create a folder called in this toolbox called zip, or SDK zip code. And then you're going to get a step called zip code, or excuse me, is zip code valid, that you can then use. Now, of course, you might have some dependencies here, given the method that, or the code that you've written, and those need to be deployed onto the server as well. And they, in our sort of third-party service directory. The actual name of it is escaping me.
Okay, so like I have a series of DLLs that are used in order for my C# application to speak to the ERP system. So you're saying that those guys would need to be deployed?
Correct. We have a location where those can get referenced. It's not core service DLLs. Where is this stuff at these days? Let me see. Available modules, licensed modules. It's not core service DLLs. Where was it at? Custom. It's not custom modules. Modules, decisions.local. I have to figure out the actual location for you. Let me see if I can ask this really quick while we're just chatting here in just a moment.
So, but
Go ahead.
structurally, like, am I better off, in the near term, kind of installing decisions locally and doing all of this and getting it working before,
Yeah, for sure.
involving you guys? Okay. Okay, perfect. Well, this is going to be great. With custom types in SDK, you need to tell decisions how to understand properties on that type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so creating custom data types with SDK. Yeah, you've got to add some. I'm less familiar with creating a type than I am creating steps. But you can basically register a data type in custom code that'll show up like a decisions type. It can either inherit from our base classes, or
Okay, but it seems like in the documentation here, there's enough information to get me well started.
yeah, and if not, we can set up a call with one of the devs to walk you through some of the particulars.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I think yes, we can get you a local install where you could do all this work, and then you could put together like a package. Here's my dependencies, and here's my custom step code. Can I get this deployed onto my dev server, and then get that into support, and support will get with ops and get that done for you.
Okay. So, okay. Cool. And so, I mean, in bygone days, like I installed 6.18 on my local computer. Is that still available to do, just downloading the thing and installing it?
Yep, sure is. Maybe you get a trial license of a week or two. So.
Oh, I see. It's still like because the 6.18 license, like it's still running. It's been years.
Yeah, but like you can't log in externally. You can't make API calls. There's restrictions on it. It's not a full.
Gotcha,
it's not a full featured license.
Right,
You don't. It doesn't matter to you because you're just logging in from your local session, right?
Yeah.
But if you tried to turn that into a web server, you wouldn't be able to.
Okay,
it's not properly licensed. So
gotcha.
we allow you to have access to the studio still, but not. It's not the full application. So the trial license gives you full feature access. After 10 or 14 days, it reverts to a personal license, which means you can do some development work on it.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Great. Appreciate that.
You bet, man. Happy to help. All right. I think that's it for today. Only a few of us here. Any other questions from anybody? Will you make a note and get these data source and reports rearranged in some meaningful way in the list here? They should be paired up with one another in some way. I don't actually care the particular, but you've got like reporting data source basic, SQL reporting overview with creating custom types in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, wonderful.
And did you want me to make updates to the update entity stuff page?
What particularly? Based on my conversation with in support dev?
No, actually, earlier on this call.
Oh, like for for the save entity step? Clarify your question for me, man. I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah,
we talked about update entity and save entities, right?
Yeah, an update entity was confusing.
Yeah, I would honestly, yeah, I think you could probably put like a this step has been depreciated. It's recommended to use save entities instead on that step. I think that's a meaningful change, meaningful call out to add there. We might refactor it to be better, but right now no one should. Really, you shouldn't try to use that step. It's utilities suspect. Okay. All righty. Great. Thanks everyone for the questions. Oh, you got something else, Alex?
No, thanks.
Oh, you bet, man. Happy to help always.
Cheers.
All right. Thanks, you guys. See ya.